Welcome to Pillars of Progress, a look at the work our government is doing as it implements the development plans for the nation. I'm Anne-Marie Ganes, and in our first story, some 3,000 leases for Caroni lands will be handed over to former Caroni workers by August this year. This is a promise of Minister of Food Production, Land and Marine Affairs, Vasant Bharath. After waiting nearly 10 years, over 600 former workers of Caroni 1975 Limited finally received leases to their lands yesterday. The leases were presented by Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa. Sherilyn Lewis has more in this story.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa says her government is committed towards the equity in the distribution of lands. Speaking at an agricultural lease ceremony for farmers in Shogunas, Mrs. Persad Bissessa said she understood the importance of ownership of land and the benefits it will provide. After waiting over 9 years to finally get access to their lands, hundreds of farmers were finally presented with their leases.
It is indeed a second time this month that we are distributing land to our citizens. And I want to highlight that it is all about delivery and service to the people of our land. The distribution of these lands comes with a guarantee and protection of security, of knowing that you own something that can provide food or shelter for you. That is a basic comfort and should never be underrated. This is so especially given the fact that today many citizens of this land are desperately searching for some type of security given our present economic reality. This is so when we come to you with this distribution, we are delivering on a promise that we made to deal with poverty eradication and social justice. When we entered office, one of the 7 pillars of our manifesto indeed was to tackle the very serious problem of poverty eradication, and also our commitment to reviving the agricultural industry in the efforts to diversify the economy. Today is a continuation of the fulfillment of that promise, as I am advised that over 589 land leases will be distributed today, bringing a total of 1199 distributed by your government since we took office in May last year. And with a crucial need to diversify the economy, to specially revive the agriculture sector and reduce our international food bill, land reform and land restitution are critical to the transformation of our society. One of our key problems is poverty, and we know that poverty is the root cause of one of the main problems in our country today, that is crime. International research has shown that in countries where a significant portion of the population derives the bulk of their income from agriculture, poverty reduction typically depends on agricultural productivity growth. But growth alone is not sufficient enough for poverty reduction. The distribution of assets makes a difference, and equity land distribution patterns have, according to international research, tended to generate higher rates of economic growth. And it has been proved that initial distribution of assets not only affect the rate of economic growth, it also affects the poverty-reducing effects of the growth that does not occur. And this is so because broad-based agricultural growth tends to generate second-rung expenditures in support of local and non-tradable goods and services. And the fact is that in countries with a proper policy of land distribution, both agricultural and non-agricultural growth tend to benefit the poorest households and therefore all around the general population.
Minister of Food Production Vasant Bharath condemned the last administration for neglecting the needs of farmers.
Leases to 589 of you who have worked for many years for the sugar company that the previous government closed. You represent a cross-section of the vast geography that Caroni 1975 covered, from La Fortune to Woodland to Orange Grove, spanning 2 counties. Caroni 1975 was more than a sugar company. It was an agro-industrial giant that produced more than 44% of the GDP in the agricultural sector and injected in excess of $680 million into the national economy every year.
This recipient, Chanrauti Lal, said she was happy and that now she has something to leave for her children.
My children will work the land.
Another recipient said he's eager to start planting again.
I will benefit because I'm not working at this moment, right? And as I said, I will have to start planting.
And over $100 million is being spent on development projects in Siparia and surrounding areas, improving infrastructure that have been left neglected for more than 20 years. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar was in her constituency last evening, outlining the improvement works now underway. Sunil Ranjit Singh has more.
It was a Prime Minister expressing her gratitude to her constituents for their patience in finally getting improvements to their areas. After years of waiting, many of the complaints of neglect are finally being answered.
Simple infrastructure had collapsed. The basic things to which we had grown accustomed were allowed to whittle away and degenerate into a very dilapidated state. Overgrown box drains, gaps of broken concrete, interrupted by tufts of ochre and grass, resulted in flooding in our communities. Pothole roads resurfaced with just a thin layer of asphalt, really put on, like I said it yesterday, like a painting of the tar. You know, the black tar, you just paint it on the road near election time. Then it breaks down. An irritation for us, for all of us, as we traverse the nation's roads, both near and far. The structural integrity of bridges in our communities became suspect. They could no longer be trusted, and in response to this neglect, you came out like an army. You possessed and voted for change on May 24th. Change you demanded, and change you got, so that your government is here this evening to remind you of that social contract and to assure you that as a government, the partnership is prepared to walk the talk. For you here in Siparia Penal, we have come to show you that the People's Partnership, your government, is here to deliver to you, the people. This is the first time in the history of Siparia, my constituency, that so many dollars have been spent and will be spent. That expenditure has already included work on Scotts Road, Mendes Trace, K Trace, just to name a few, and work is scheduled to start on the Penal Queenham Road onto the SS Erin Road. I look forward to that as well. This, as Jack says, is not an election gimmick, because elections are more than 4 years away. This is not an exercise in futility to apply thin layers of asphalt to secure your vote, but this is an exercise of stability to ensure that the infrastructure within your community remains strong, not just for you, but for your children and the generations to come. In some cases, the failed asphalt, which had been applied over and over again, was removed. Retaining walls to buttress the support of roadways and drains have been constructed. Roadside drains and culvert crossings to ensure the surface water travel along designed watercourses have also been built. And I'm advised that the base layer of the roads has been strengthened before the hot mix was put on it. All of this means that our roads here will be stronger. They will enhance your traveling experience and for all those who use this area. This did not happen by chance. Neither is the design the product of proxy, but rather it is part of the strategic development planning and design of your government, which is committed to improve the lives of every one of our citizens. Our commitment is in response to your demand for change, your demand for a different kind of governance, one that puts the people first every time and all the time. We listen to the cries of the people in Laventille, who could not understand the wastage taking place at the summit of the Americas on sugar, while just less than 1 mile away, they are still using water that they cannot have. They're still using outdoor shelters. A both rare, absent commodity. Basic needs are being ignored. We listen to the cries of people who had to wake up 3 and 4 in the morning to escape congested roads, to travel to work each morning. And that is why today you can travel from Golconda to Port of Spain. Is that right, Minister? And not find one traffic light to block you along that highway. All pretenders to the title of being a caring government are now exposed because, given the economic challenges, given the obstacles, it is clear that after less than a year, your government alone has emerged as the only true contender. And for this, we cannot take any applause. It is you, the people, who must be applauded for giving us that confidence to work for you and to serve you.
It was also a proud moment for Works and Transport Minister Jack Warner, as his ministry delivers to areas that have been neglected.
When last any government, before this government, when last any government in 1 year spent $119.6 million? When last? In Penal. Yes, that's correct. In Penal. Penal used to be a bad word for previous government. A bad word. And today, we are here to deliver for you in less than a year. With no election, not even my good councillor is up for election. With no election, we have come to deliver. And those of you who believe that we are finished, I tell you, I have news for you. Because we are going to also do Goodman Trace. And at the appropriate time, we'll tell you when we shall come to officially turn the sun. But I tell you, that is happening in less than a week or two. And I tell you this before I leave the podium, the day is coming very soon, very, very soon, where you'll have a road from Rock Road to Moruga. From Rock Road to Moruga. And you shall then achieve and attain your dreams, your heart's desire. Far too long, areas like this, Penal, have been neglected. We have to turn back the clock. We have to address the situation. We have to address the wrongs of the past. And we, at the Ministry of Works and Transport, with the full support of the Prime Minister, we are doing our part. Prime Minister, I thank you.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar also told the gathering at the Scotts Road Recreation Ground that delivery is on its way. This is not an election year, but the Prime Minister stated that after 1 year in office, her government is delivering.
And it can only get better. So, within the last week or two, I must have opened and handed over for, 20, 30 projects of deliverables. More to come within the next several days. But here, for you in my own constituency, I'm very happy to come amongst you as friends and family who for more than 25 years you have supported me in national politics. Through thick and thin, we have fought together, and whether times were good or not so good, of one thing I was certain, and that is of your love and your loyalty here in my own constituency of Siparia. I want to thank you very much for that. I thank you for the support you have given me over all these years, whether in government or in opposition. You never lost faith. You never lost courage. And it's because of you I have the inspiration and the courage and the strength to continue to work very hard for you and for all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
On the business scene, a series of major initiatives aimed at boosting trade and investment in the country is planned for next month. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, in a media release, announced that the Caribbean Investment Forum and the Commonwealth Business Council are set for June 13th and 14th at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Centre. This will lay the backdrop for the annual Trade and Investment Conference from June 15th to 18th at the Hyatt Regency. The Prime Minister says the forum will build on the outcomes of the Commonwealth Business Forum held in Trinidad in November 2009 and will assist the country and the region in developing its position for international trade and in developing relationships in key economic sectors in the region. She adds that economic diversification is an imperative for future prosperity and sustainability, given the global economic slowdown. The forum will address innovative approaches to leveraging competitive advantage in the region through enhanced trade and investment relationships. Minister of Trade and Investment Stephen Cadiz elaborated on the program of activities last night as he attended the opening of the Zanakau warehouse in Point Lisas.
Truly, there was so much demand now for the Commonwealth countries to really and truly start trading in a very meaningful way. And hence the reason we have this Caribbean Investment Forum, which we would very much invite your group to participate in, and also to, definitely to be there, and for any of your group associates to come to Trinidad during that Caribbean Investment Forum. We expect a number of people out of the Commonwealth, and what we're looking at is to use the CIF as an introduction of other Commonwealth countries into Latin America and Central America. So it's the first of its kind in this region, and we really and truly are looking for great success. So leading businesses and investors from the Commonwealth and the Americas are expected to attend the CIF, where the focus will be on sectors such as tourism, agribusiness, ICT, maritime industries, a whole host of other investment opportunities. And we encourage those local firms which have not done so to please register for the CIF and explore the business opportunities which this event will which will offer. The CIF is the first component of the Trinidad and Tobago Investment Week. The second element is the annual Trade and Investment Convention, the TIC, which runs from the 15th to the 18th of June.
The Zanacau Group celebrates its 150th anniversary and is a global trading company dealing in sugar and energy. Minister Cady says the arrival of a large company such as Zanacau to our shores indicates that Trinidad and Tobago is attractive to investors.
The presence of such an internationally recognized company will add to our reputation as an investment venue and will encourage other firms of this caliber to invest here. And it's very important for us to know that regardless of the type of business that it is, the fact that you have that foreign direct investment coming in says something about any economy.
Minister Cady says the timing of Zanacau's investment could not be better for the country.
Trinidad and Tobago has long been known as an excellent investment venue for multinational businesses. And it is particularly commendable that an initiative of this nature is taking place during a time when the economy is recovering from a period of relatively slow growth. In fact, many economic thinkers believe that a downturn is the perfect time to embark on new investments and form enterprises, because these activities are exactly what will stimulate an economy and re-energize the productive sectors and get people spending again.
In other news, Minister of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Fazal Karim has set up a special committee to review and improve the Government Assistance to Tertiary Education Program, GATE. The committee is headed by Jwala Rambaran, who is also the chairman of NEHURST. We have more details by Sherilyn Lewis.
Minister Fazal Karim says it is important that persons subscribed to the GATE program are getting value for money. Speaking to GISL, the Tertiary Education Minister said this new GATE review committee will make assessments to see exactly how taxpayers are benefiting from the program.
You would have recalled as well that last week Thursday, the Honourable Prime Minister formally opened the first Workforce Assessment Centre, which is part of the expansion of the GATE program, to which she has allocated $16 million to the rest of this financial year. Effectively, what the appointment of the GATE Review Committee is about is to see exactly if our taxpayers are getting value for money in terms of financing GATE. So far, the allocation, the budgetary allocation for GATE for this fiscal year is $625 million, and we have spent $242.9 million so far. The reason why we have called the meeting of the private tertiary level institutions, private TLIs, is because their contract for GATE is they have a two-year contract, and it's going to be due up in August. And we thought it's important for us, in the spirit of the People's Partnership, to have consultation with our major stakeholders.
Minister Karim said so far the GATE program has been very successful.
Yes, I think the GATE program is a very successful program, and recall that the GATE program was first predicated on the dollar-for-dollar program of the former UNC administration. And what we want to do as well is to ensure that the programs that we're delivering through the public and the private institutions are influenced by labour market studies, so that it's not simply what the providers feel is necessary or what they think will give them a good intake of students, but what the economy requires for its development now and in the future. In addition to what we want to look at is the amount of money that we expend to GATE outside of Trinidad and Tobago. For example, we have institutions like UTEC in Jamaica and the St. George's University in Grenada. And we want to review some of those. That's all part of the remit of the review committee, to see whether we can build capacity within Trinidad and Tobago and deliver these programs to our citizens here, as opposed to having them dislocated to go to abroad to take this study.
Sherilyn Lewis, GISL.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar tells nurses that the country needs them. In a message on the occasion of International Nurses Day, the Prime Minister says nursing is much more than a job and should be considered a vocation. She describes nursing as a profession to be undertaken by the strong of heart and spirit, with a genuine concern for the well-being of others. In her message, the Prime Minister points out that the local healthcare system employs over 6,000 nurses. She says nurses are critical to the delivery of high-quality, efficient care in health institutions. She wants them to know that she is fully aware of the sacrifices they make on a daily basis to ensure that the country's health system is not compromised. The Prime Minister is also assuring the nurses that government is committed to working with them to raise the bar on the standard of healthcare which is now offered to citizens. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is also encouraging nurses to take advantage of the educational opportunities currently available to them through the Ministry of Health and the University of the West Indies. According to the Prime Minister, while you may not hear it often enough, rest assured you are valued, and we appreciate all that our nurses do to keep us healthy as individuals and as a nation. More power for nurses when new legislation comes into effect. Health Minister Therese Baptiste-Cornelis says the Nurse Practitioner Bill is now before Cabinet. The minister was the featured speaker at a symposium in commemoration of International Nurses Day. International Nurses Day is being celebrated in about 134 countries, Trinidad and Tobago included. It is in commemoration of the birthday of the founder of modern-day nursing, Florence Nightingale. Nurses from around the country got together at the Crown Plaza Hotel for a special symposium which had as its theme, Closing the Gap, Increasing Access and Equity. The president of the Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurses Association, Mrs. Valerie Alain Rawlins, pointed out that the burden of chronic non-communicable diseases is rising in almost every country around the world. She outlined the 8 key elements identified by the International Council of Nurses which impact on access to proper health care.
Lack of capacity and availability, cost, language and culture, lack of knowledge, mobility, employment, staff sensitivity and preparedness, and discrimination. Let us spend some time today discussing these elements and their relevance to our situation.
Health Minister Therese Baptiste-Cornelis says the importance of nurses cannot be underscored.
A vast majority of our nurses continue to demonstrate their commitment to personalized care, and they recognize that sensitivity to our patient needs is the key to their speedy recovery. We see that more and more being represented in the newspapers and in letters sent to me.
She says the government is moving to deliver proper health care to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
The reality is our health facilities rely heavily on you. You, our nurses, you, the nurses who work as clinic managers and practitioners in our communities. You, supervise staff, you, the nurses, take histories and perform physical examinations and get everything ready to pass up to others. And whilst some of you may not be a physician, many times they may not even be a physician available in some areas. And you, the nurses, provide comprehensive care, which often includes a softly spoken word, empathy, or listening ear.
The minister spoke of the strategies through which the Health Ministry plans to achieve its vision for health.
We have looked at the TRHA as one of the models, the pilot model, to roll out the primary health care model along with PAHO. And nurses are the principal group of health personnel providing primary health care. So important, we crafted new legislation and took it to the Legislative Review Committee, which came out and is now before Cabinet, to bring the Advanced Nurse Practitioner Bill. Because we recognize we have nurses who can do a lot more than our bills allow them to do, and we want to give you that power.
Minister Baptiste-Cornelis believes that one of the biggest challenges is changing people's lifestyles through education. The demands for local healthcare professionals are on the decrease. So says the Minister of Health, Therese Baptiste Cornelis, as she addressed the orientation program for 25 registered nurses from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The ceremony was held at the Crown Plaza Hotel, Ryson Road, Port of Spain. Sherilyn Lewis has the details.
Be patient and make full use of this opportunity. This was the advice given to over 20 registered nurses from St. Vincent and the Grenadines by the Health Minister. Mrs. Baptiste Cornelis told nurses because of the demand for healthcare professionals, their role will be a very important one.
Our demand for healthcare professionals keeps increasing, and the local sources of supply have not been able to meet that demand, particularly in the specialist areas. I have shared all of this so that we as a nation, you as new arrivals, can understand the bigger picture. Our nation's wealth is our citizens' health. When you work for us in Trinidad and Tobago, we treat you as one of us. You are one of us. The Ministry of Health is working assiduously to improve the healthcare experience for all our nationals, citizens and residents of Trinidad and Tobago. As you leave here today and begin working in our public health sector, I make only this one demand. Show your patients that you care. There is no excuse for a nurse that does not care. In a recent graduation ceremony held for nurses in Trinidad and Tobago, I was enthralled as they recited their pledge. And I was especially touched by the lines that said, "I promise to care for the sick with all the skill and understanding that I possess, without regard to race, creed, color, politics, or social status, sparing no effort to conserve life, to alleviate suffering, and to promote health." I'm pleased to tell you, as the Minister of Health of Trinidad and Tobago, I myself make that pledge every day, and I earnestly strive to live by it. I have told many people that as Minister of Health, I operate without regard to race, creed, color, politics, or social status. I am a minister for all, to operate without fear or favor. It is therefore my expectation that you, my new incoming nurses, will also abide by this, as will all members of the Ministry of Health and all public servants. I have said this countless times, and I continue to reiterate to all healthcare professionals in Trinidad and Tobago that from that very first moment of contact, you have that opportunity to make that difference.
The Health Minister then offered these words of advice to the nurses.
Every opportunity I get, please put customer service at the top of your agenda. As we celebrate International Nurses Day, I think the words of like caring, kindness, and gentleness are even so much more appropriate. Nurses provide life-saving services to patients every single day, often without glory and without recognition. At this point, I would like to pause, and I would like to ask everyone to offer you a sign of applause for what you're doing for us. In the Ministry of Health, we want to recognize and appreciate the difficult and critical work that nurses do in order to improve healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago. So have a great time in Trinidad and Tobago. Have a fantastic Nurses Week, everyone. And remember what I always say, being passionate in what you do is the key to success, and using that passion to help others is the key to happiness. Be a happy person.
The nurses who were officially recruited last year will go through 2 weeks of acclimatization at the North Central and Northwest Regional Health Authority before being deployed to other RHAs. Sherilyn Lewis, GISL.
And as we close today's episode of Pillars of Progress, we thank you for joining us and we invite you to tune in tomorrow. We leave you with these words of commitment from our Prime Minister.
For one moment, I ask you, forget the distractors and the distractions. We will not get it right all the time and every time. But one thing you can be sure of is that even when we stumble or falter, we will neither fall nor fail, for our acts are not malicious, are not exercised with bad intent, and that is why my government, my friends, will remain strong. I take this opportunity to encourage every one of you to be part of this change, to make a difference in your community, and leave a legacy for the generations to come.